Today I'm going to be talking about, are you happy? I want you to imagine this. You're going to have hot dogs for dinner tonight. You got everything all laid out, and then you remember, oh, I forgot to get the hot dog buns. Can't have hot dogs without buns. That's got to put the relish and the ketchup and all that stuff in the bun. Okay, so you get in the car, you go down to the corner convenience store, and you pick up the buns, and you go past, well, on a whim, you pick up a lotto ticket, $1. That night, you're still sitting on the couch at 11 o'clock when the TV announcer cheerfully calls out the lotto numbers that have come bouncing out of that machine that goes around and around. Have your ticket in your hand, and the first number matches. And then the second number matches. And then number after number matches. It all matches. My gosh, you stand up and you start jumping up and down. Are you happy? You're not happy. You're ecstatic. You have just won $60 million. Holy cow. Everybody, let's go out and celebrate. Oh, my word, the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. $60 million. Wow. You know, you and everybody else has sort of dreamed from time to time what you do with a huge sum of money. And now you can do it. Now you can do it. But some people, certainly not everyone, get kind of anxious and paranoid and even experience an ongoing feeling of unreality about the whole thing after winning some big lottery. For some people, this is fleeting. It just goes away within a few hours or days. For others, it kind of persists, and it interferes with their sleep. It interferes with how they function, and even their ability to make wise decisions, logical decisions. Okay, well, you'd be willing to risk that for $60 million. That kind of money would be your ticket out of the irritations or the restrictions of life. You would trade in very happily today's existence, what's going on right now, for fun and sun and freedom and leisure and joy ongoing. Absolutely. Bring it on. But did you know they've done long-term studies on people who have won huge amounts of money, and they have found that the majority of these big winners have found that it is a curse, a nightmare, rather than a blessing. Many winners have found themselves broke, bankrupt, even deeply in debt after 2, 5, 10, 12 years. What did they do with all that money? My gosh. They spent it on the great big house, on expensive cars, trips, parties, yet more parties, gifts to friends and loved ones, high fashion clothes, high ticket items, not being able to say no to people. One woman spent hers largely on political donations. Yeah, some people have spent theirs on gambling, drugs. One man kept much of his money in cash in his car, I guess so he could get at it, and he didn't trust the banks. What happened? Thieves stole it. Not once, but twice. But just wiped him out. And there was one woman who divorced her husband without informing him about her winnings. And when he found out, he sued her, and the judge awarded him the whole amount. That was not a happy woman. Nope. You know what these long-term studies have found? It was that most of us rely a great deal more than we realize it on the routine strictures and structures of our lives. These structures, like our jobs, or chores, our homes, our responsibilities, our relationships with family, people around us, friends, relatives, neighbors, our church families, those mental, emotional, spiritual support systems that we're accustomed to, we just kind of take for granted. They're a routine. They're part of the landscape. But these things were so often disrupted when people inherited, or certainly came into, won large sums of money. Oh, of course, there was this initial euphoria and happiness, but it was soon, very quickly, followed by quitting the job, moving into the big house in their favorite holiday resort, or even just across town in the best section in town. And the question then became, well, what do I do now? What do I do with my day? So the old routine was gone. The old environmental support system, that was out the window. They might have thought, well, I don't need the old friends. They'd probably be envious of me now anyway, but how do I make new ones? Where do I go? What do I do about that? I've hired lots of people to do my usual chores, so how do I fill my time? Does this money mean that all my relatives are going to come to me for loans? They're going to change the relationship with them? Of course. Of course, there are people who don't allow themselves to change their responsibilities, their relationships. They're not vastly changed by winning the lotto. They're not vastly changed at all. They've been able to balance the old with the new. They just don't go off the deep end. A man and his wife by the name of Steve and Carolyn West, and her parents, Bob and Frances Cheney, won $340 million in the lottery. They took a one-time payout of $164 million. But they didn't change their lives drastically. Oh, yes, they got the new houses, but they were half a block from each other, close by. They got some nice-looking cars and high-priced cars. They took a couple of trips, and they got a few toys. But Carolyn kept her 30-hour-a-week bookkeeping job. She liked the people there. And Steve kept helping his brother in his lawn care business. They found that a few of their old friends kind of disappeared, but most of them did not. Steve kept his old frugal way of clipping coupons. That didn't change. The interesting thing that he said was, we found out when we didn't have the money, we dreamed about all these fantastic things we think we need. Then when you have the money to buy whatever you want, you realize it's not the stuff you can buy that's really important. It's still being around family. These days, the Wests and Carolyn's mother, her dad passed away, they're spending a lot of time each year giving a portion of their fortune away. Material things are wonderful. They're necessary. But there's really no question that they don't make us happy except for maybe a couple of days, or a week or two. But Steve West found that out, and he also found out what does make us happy. The really important thing is good relationships with family and friends. Spending time, nurturing, enjoying them. But what if the family relationship is toxic? It's really negative. How do you deal with that? What do you do then? Well, you begin to make really serious efforts by being the first one. No, not waiting for them, but being the first one to reach out, to forgive, to overlook, to understand, to come more than halfway. And if it works, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. But then if repeated efforts don't heal the old wounds, if your efforts just don't work, you create a new family. You create a family with your friends, your church friends, your neighbors, those people who are on your wavelength, who share interests with you, who share goals with you. You create a support group of people who will step in and help you when you need some help, and whom you'll reach out and be of help to them, especially if they're too proud to ask. You'll go in and you'll help anyway. Giving up yourself makes you happy. It makes you happy. Accepting the warmth and trust and friendship of other people, that makes all of us happy. Noticing, not just letting it go past, but putting the old dipstick in and actually looking at it and noticing what makes you happy and doing more of it will give you regular happiness lifts. Does it make sense to you? Makes sense to me, absolutely. So plan on making those happiness lifts for yourself, helping others, doing things that make you happy, and put them into every day. Make sure you have those happiness lifts daily. Well, you'll be a happier person. But there's another thing that's guaranteed to make you happy, and that is practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude. Experts tell us that the more a person incorporates gratitude into their thinking and into their lives, the less likely they are to be depressed, anxious, lonely, envious, or neurotic. When you practice gratitude, what you're actually doing is discovering the good that's already there, the good that is all around you. When we make a habit of noticing those innumerable good things, delightful coincidences, the beauty in nature, the fun of a lovely conversation, just getting up in the morning and feeling good, the awesome kindness of people we read about, we hear about, we can't help but feel uplifted and happy, and many times astonished, and above all, grateful for all this good that's going on. You know, it's not surprising, at least to me, to hear that people who practice gratitude have much better mental health than other people. Absolutely. And when we routinely incorporate gratitude into our thinking, who are we being grateful to? To God, of course. Of course. He's the author of all good. When we see good things, when we hear about good things, we can automatically know that right there, God is active. That's the presence of God. Why? Because God and good are synonymous. They mean one and the same thing. You see good, you're seeing God's presence. God activity in and through people, in and through nature, the beauty in nature, art, science. Everywhere you look around you, you will find beauty and good and God. In our society, especially in the media, the focus is on the negative event. All over the world, you see captions, oh, anywhere and everywhere in the world, awful things that happened. If it bleeds, it leads. That's the old story. Every negative thing that they can find and fit into a newspaper or a television program, a news program, they stick it in. These sad, frightening, shocking events do go on sometimes around the world, but it's very seldom, really, for most people. And believe me when I tell you that they do not need to be your experience ever, ever. Not if you keep practicing gratitude. Not only does remembering to be grateful make you just a happier person, not only does it keep you remembering God's presence and His action all over the place, all around you, in you, it works on yet another level, and a very important one. There is an ancient mental spiritual law that is known as like attracts like. Many of you have heard of that. And the more common expression is birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, because you see it all the time. People who like sports gather together. They're attracted to each other. You go drive past any sports bar, and my goodness, there are a lot of people in there enjoying the same thing together. But it's the same thing with art or music, with woodworking. Lawyers, doctors, environmentalists, gardeners, musicians, they all have common interests and they get together. They're attracted to one another. They like to hang out together. Like attracts like. But then there is a much deeper level, and that is, as you fill your mind with gratitude, you are going to attract to yourself ever more positive experiences to be grateful for. Yes, more and more good, more and more abundance of every kind is going to flow into your life. Like attracts like. There'll be ever more reasons for you to be happy. You will see over and over, you'll feel more and more of God's presence. You'll feel it ever more. But, you know, the flip side of the coin is exactly as true as the positive side, the negative side. If every chore, if all the responsibilities, the job, the appointments you've got to keep, the effort that your life requires, fills your mind with, oh, I've got to do this again. This is so hard. Other people don't have these burdens. Why haven't I gotten the things in life that I wanted? If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. And why can't so-and-so be different, think different, act different to me or to other people? Why not? If such thoughts fill your mind, I guarantee there'll be no room for happiness. There'll be no room for a greater abundance in your life. Furthermore, you will attract yet more negative people, more burdens, and more difficulties to yourself. It's an easy choice, isn't it? Whether you win the lottery or the publisher's clearinghouse or not, you can get the most valuable winnings. You can experience the most important things when you nourish, when you treasure, when you give time and attention to family and to that close circle of friends that you're making and nourishing. Pays off in ways that really make you happy. And as you practice gratitude to God for the little routine things, what you're going to find is that bigger and better and more impressive and more astonishing things begin flowing into your life to be grateful for. You know, when you walk into this room on Sunday morning, for 20 minutes you get a fire hose of uplifting, helpful spiritual ideas, and then you walk out the door and life hits you right in the face. And it's ever so easy to just forget what you heard. Let it just go into the background. Today, try your best to remember two things, two only. One, value help, emotionally support, and love those people who are closest to you. If you don't have them, make them. Be close to them. Help them. And number 2, look for the good. It is all around you. Your life is filled with it. Be grateful to God many times a day, as many times as you can think of it. And you will be one happy person.